Wholesaling is not a real estate business. And when this shift happens to you, when you decide and you accept that this is the gospel, this is the truth, then everything changes for you. That's what happened to me. So when I was back in 2003, I started wholesaling a long time ago and struggling. And then I went from making no money to 6 months later making over $110,000 in a single month, which that was back then. So that was a lot of money back then. Now it's still good money, but not as good money as it was back then because of inflation. And what made the difference? What made the difference is I stopped learning about wholesaling and I transitioned to learning and understanding and getting better at marketing. So I decided to become a marketer, not a wholesaler. Because now granted, there's a foundation of knowledge that you need with wholesaling. Right? You got to learn how to talk to sellers. You need to know the mechanical aspects of doing a wholesale deal, how to write up a contract, and all that stuff. However, there's a point of diminishing return on that information, meaning that if you go and do one course on wholesaling, then that's pretty much all you need. You don't need another 2 or 3. You don't need to watch, if you watch 2 or 3 videos on wholesaling on YouTube, you don't need to watch 20 of them. It's overkill. What you need is marketing, because I guarantee that for all of you watching here, the biggest impact that you could have on your business, whether you're struggling to get your first set of deals under your belt, or maybe you are doing a deal here or there, but you're not having that great success, is you need more leads. And the moment you have more leads coming in, everything changes, because leads force other problems to fix themselves. Meaning that, let's say you're not that great at talking to sellers. Well, you could go out to a seminar teaching you how to talk to sellers, but you know what's going to really help you talk to sellers? Actually talking to these people. So if you spend, say, on day 0, all of a sudden, 30 days later, you have spoken with 60 or 100 property owners, then how much better would you be at talking to sellers? How much better would you be on analyzing deals? How much better would you be on every single aspect of this business, on negotiating, everything? You would be so much better. Why? Because of the pure repetition of it. And so you have to accept that. So then let's say you say, Chico, that makes perfect sense. I need more leads, because maybe you're stuck cold calling and you're getting a lead every couple days and they yell at you and they think you're a douchebag. That's what cold calling is, right? When you call those people, versus warm incoming leads where they raise their hands and say, hey, please call me with an offer, and you talk to them, and so they're such nice people. So then the question becomes, okay, if you're all in on lead generation, screw that wholesaling stuff. What do I got to do next? Now you got to decide, which channel are you going to go after? When I started, the channel that I chose is not the channel you're going to choose right now. I started with direct mail. Back then in 2003, nobody was doing direct mail. Nobody. And I had it all to myself. I would send out 1,000 postcards and we would get like 110 phone calls. We would send out, so when we did this initially, when I learned how to do marketing properly, all of a sudden we get flooded with leads. And I was the first one to ever use 24-hour recorded messages, and it was out of necessity because we had so many leads we couldn't pick up the phone fast enough when the mailman hits. And then I had a guy, actually, there was no CRNs back then, so I had a guy that came in and with a notebook. I had a notebook, and he would literally sit once a mailman delivered all the postcards at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He would just spend about 2 hours, 3 hours actually just listening to voicemail messages and transcribing them. There were so many of them, by the time he finished, he would hang up the phone and there'd be another 5 or 6 messages and he would have to handwrite those. And then we have somebody else pick up the notebook. And it was like shooting fish in a barrel. Why? Because nobody else is doing it. Now direct mail is not the same. So what you got to do is you got to figure out where is it that other people are not. And cold calling is very saturated. Inbound marketing is where it's at right now. However, you have to look at the landscape of inbound marketing and figure out where are you going to plant your flag. I'm going to tell you where we're going to be doing for Q4 and next year, where we're planting our flags. And that way you can make a decision for you. This is under the umbrella that you're wanting and desiring to learn this. I'm not a fan of agencies. Agencies, by the time you're done, you're going to pay more money to the agency than you will to the platform. You're better off taking all the money that you would spend on an agency, the $1,500, $2,000 per month, and give it to Facebook or Google, and you'll be much better off. I guarantee you. There's also pay-per-lead companies, but it's a mixed bag. I think it's a better solution than an agency because at least you can buy them in batches, and if they're crap, then you don't buy any more. But, with pay-per-lead, what happens is that the minute any one of these platforms get flooded with new customers, eventually the quality degrades because now they got to get leads from so many places. They got to double, triple, quadruple sell those leads. And next thing you know, they're not as good as they were. Like a year ago, you're like, oh my God, these are the most amazing leads. And then now you're like, oh my God, these things are turds. So that's why I'm a believer in that you should be in control of your own destiny, meaning that you should learn how to run your own campaigns and learn how to run your own ads. And if you do that, then you never have to worry about anybody ever again. You can generate your own leads. So platforms in order. All right, let's go from number 3 to number 2 to number 1. Number 3, TikTok. TikTok right now, we're not really doing that much. We can only advertise across so many platforms. And TikTok is a very similar lead and customer avatar as Facebook. But the interface, me personally, it's a little bit clunky. It's great for low budget, because you can get leads at $20 a lead. The campaigns don't last as long. You got to regroup on those campaigns rather quickly. And it does require video creatives. You got to have your own exclusive video creative. So if I give you my video and say, hey, why don't you use my video on Facebook, you can't take that video, put it on TikTok, because if I'm using that video, TikTok will flag the account. So for me right now, it feels like TikTok really hasn't advanced that much over the last 6 months, a year. Could have been maybe because of the whole, being banned fiasco that kind of put a hold on things. But to me, it's a little bit stagnant, so that's why it's number 3. Facebook, number 2, continues to be our bread and butter, continues to be the foundation. However, we'll have to see if that gets changed in the near future. Recently, they did a bunch of updates to their algorithm. It's a new algorithm called Andromeda. A little bit of volatility last couple of weeks, but now has settled in, and ourselves and clients are still having great success with Facebook. Now, this is under the umbrella, just so you have a clear picture, under the umbrella of nationwide wholesaling, all right, and also doing virtual. So obviously, we're not visiting any of these properties, not talking with the property owners or anything like that. And then doing a combination of either wholesale or novations. Novations is just a strategy to allow you to take a property, offer more money to the seller, and list it on the MLS. So under that model of nationwide wholesaling, Facebook continues to be a performer for us. The number 1, the one that we are going to be trying to push some money into that Q4, and I have high aspirations for this, is Google, but specifically with Google, not search, not PPC. PPC, in my opinion, is saturated. A lot of people on PPC, a lot of agencies driving traffic on PPC, which is, when you type in to Google, sell my house fast, and you get served the ads. I believe that the opportunity is going to be with the other campaign types, specifically demand gen campaigns, which is what the campaign type that you use in order to advertise on YouTube. Not a whole lot of advertisers for the real estate niche are on YouTube. Very small amount compared to, Facebook. Like almost every agency out there for real estate wholesalers, most of them are doing Facebook ads. Again, we're still doing deals on Facebook, so it's not the point I'm trying to make is that we have our eye on Google and thinking, well, you know what? Could that be? This is what my thinking is. Could that be what direct mail was back in the day? Because that's what I'm always looking for. That's what happened with Facebook. When I first started on Facebook, 2016, nobody was doing Facebook. And so it was it was a much different world. It still works, but not like it did back then. Right now, in Google, we can launch campaigns and get $25 leads nationwide. We can launch a campaign, and then within 24 hours, we have it down pat where we can start generating leads at a relatively low budget, $25 a day. So you don't have to spend a bunch of money. And then now here's the thing with Google, unlike Facebook, right? So if somebody sees an ad on Facebook, then you end up seeing a lot more ads of the same thing. That's just the way their system works. So, it's not like pay-per-click where somebody's searching on the computer and then like you got a bunch of killers waiting for that lead. And then as soon as that lead comes in, you got to get to them within 2 minutes. And you got a bunch of like really very aggressive investors going after those leads. With Facebook, right? You have a little bit more flexibility in terms of getting a hold of the sellers and doing a deal with them. But however, on YouTube, they're not going to see that frequency of ads the same way that they would see on Facebook. Mainly because of the way that YouTube algorithm works, because of the fact that there's not that many advertisers on YouTube for the house business. And so the comments that we get from our clients are that they feel like the sellers have not been put through the ringer as in other platforms. And there's some nuances to YouTube. It's very much creative driven. You got to have the videos and shorts and the wide. You got to have a converting landing page. If you don't have a converting landing page, you're going to be in trouble. Facebook, you can fudge a little bit by using lead forms. But in my opinion, like that's the one to look for right now. Like if you're running your own campaigns, you still got Facebook as your base, especially if you're doing deals right now with it. But then you're keeping an eye on YouTube ads, demand gen, and so you're testing and you're tweaking and you're trying to make that work because that channel has a tremendous amount of throughput. I mean, you could spend a serious amount of money on that platform fast because there's just that much traffic. And the leads are good. We have a client now that 9 leads and got a contract already, and for innovation, nationwide deal. So that's my pecking order of things. So again, the wholesaling business is not a real estate business, it's the marketing business. If you accept that, then the question becomes is what are you going to focus on? It is my belief you focus on digital marketing. It's my belief that you learn how to do digital marketing so you are in control and you attack things in the order that I suggested. Start with Facebook. That lays the foundation for everything. Test on Google and learn novations as a complementary strategy to wholesaling. And if you do that, I guarantee you that you will make a killing in the rest of this year and most importantly, 2026, when the getting becomes even better because of rates coming down. By the way, if you want to learn how we run these campaigns, etc., go ahead and click on that video there that pops up there. And I'll see you in the next video.